Hi Virgo, welcome to your September 2018 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. I'm just looking through I don't know what you call this. What do you call that touch screen? I guess it's a touch screen. I was going to call it a viewfinder. Back in the day, that reminds me of those little things, those cartridges that you would put in. Oh gosh, those were the days. Those things were cooler than any smartphone, I'll tell you. But anyway, I was looking at it and it looks kind of like, it looked yellowish, so I don't know how the light will be with this reading, but anyway. Okay. I was just like staring at the cards because that isn't kind of the reading, the spread that I usually use. So I was like, huh? So I think that I did a little bit differently, but that's okay. The heart of the matter is the Four of Cups. So in September, I want you to look at your life and see the areas of life that you feel disinterested in, okay? Now, you will notice that the clouds, if you will, which can be any person, sometimes it's the universe bringing these things into our reality, but I also think it can be another person, and it could be any type of relationship, even just a friendship, where it's not mutual, but it's not mutual on your part. And I want you to think about if there's any relationship like this in your life, Virgo. And let's say it is a marriage or the equivalent of a marriage, because we do have the Judgment card here. So that's always, you know, kind of a hint to me that this could be an actual long-term or more committed relationship. And that sense of dissatisfaction, do you distract yourself from it? And even though in the back of your mind it's bothering you that you're dealing with not being happy in a certain area of your life. Maybe it's a job. And this is your solar return month. So every year, starting in late August, you go through the cycle of having a birthday and having a new moon. And these are times to kind of think about the next 12 months and what you want to manifest for yourself. But part of manifestation, according to the law of attraction, is having a sense of expectancy, and that is a positive kind of a mindset. If you're dreading something, if you are resisting something, that's not a good frame of mind. And the Four of Cups is more flatness, is more disinterest, more lack of feeling satisfied in a particular relationship, because we're talking cups here, so there's definitely an emotional component. So even if this is a workplace situation, it could be that you're upset with your relationship with coworkers or your boss, and that is plaguing you. My partner once told me, it's never the job, it's the people. And I know what he means. It's really kind of funny. I know exactly what he means. But, you know, a lot of times, especially if you consider yourself an empath, as I do, other people can drive us absolutely bonkers because we are so sensitive that their bad vibes totally can rub off on us. And then we feel haywire. So being in the right environment, it can be so important for people who are very sensitive. But also, the thing that I was getting at when I was talking about the workplace is because if you're not like happy doing what you're doing, it's very hard to do a good job. And that's one of the reasons why when I get crappy service, it doesn't really faze me that much because I feel sorry for the person who's giving me crappy service. And I know some people don't, but I do, because I feel like they must be miserable, because there are some people and they are totally into it no matter what they're doing. And they just have this type of work ethic where they just love working and it really doesn't matter. Some of you may be that type of person because you rule that area of service, you know, in the universal chart. But if your heart isn't into what you're doing, you're going to tend to do a lackluster job, and it's going to be on a vibrational level. It's going to be felt somehow. And also, you're not going to feel that sense of expectancy and joy. So it's very important to feel that, and you know, that's the difference between the Four of Cups and the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Cups is really, when you think of the number 4, it's about foundations. And so in relationships, if you don't have a good emotional connection with your partner, you're pretty much screwed, aren't you? Because you are running on fumes. You might be there because you have a sexual attraction, or you have children, or maybe a business together, and or you know, that kind of mutual using one of the other. But it's not, there's not that emotional connection, and so the relationship is hollow. And I think this person, the Four of Cups, feels hollow inside. So think about that, and think about why that would be the case in your life. I should tell you too that I have been, in recent months, maybe as long as a year, I don't know, been doing separate astrology readings for the month. So check out my channel if you're not subscribed, because you can get the astrological transits for Virgo, Sun and Rising, and that can give you more of the cyclical stuff based on astrology to kind of fill in this reading, okay? What crosses you is the Seven of Cups, and this is a card of confusion, wishful thinking. I don't like the word wishful thinking because I think we should wish for things, but you know what I mean. You know, kind of like being in la la land about a situation. Also, addiction. Yeah, and I didn't say this before, but the Four of Cups could be a card about addiction. It doesn't have to be you that's addicted. It could be like somebody in your life that you care about. And so the Seven of Cups in that particular scenario would be you in denial. And this could even be a child who is addicted. It doesn't have to be a marriage partner at all. This could be somebody else who you care about and who you're concerned about. And even with addiction, you know, that's one of the reasons why Melody Beattie's book, Codependent No More, is so beautiful and really, to me, a mystical book. I have to find it. I have a copy somewhere, but I haven't read it in many years. But it always was so comforting to me because she talks about, you know, being in that type of relationship and feeling that sense of hopelessness. And when she started focusing on her own dreams, it's like life just magically got better. And yet it's not really magic in terms of just randomness. There's a real, you know, that's why they call it the law of attraction. Because whatever you put attention on increases. If you put attention on those things that you want to manifest, then those things are going to just be what you see in your life. But if you're chasing after somebody who is on a path of self-destruction and they don't even care about themselves, and you're trying to, tell them that, you care and you really believe in them, and they just keep hitting the bottle or hitting the bong or, whatever it is. Maybe it isn't even a substance abuse issue. Maybe it's just that they are doing something else that's risky behavior, whatever, or just dysfunctional behavior. Everyone is on their own path. And we forget that. Sometimes I think that empath within a lot of us makes us feel like other people are our responsibility. And then we lose responsibility for ourselves, and we lose control over ourselves. And we kind of like get lost in somebody else's problems. So don't do that. The Seven of Cups, I think, could even be like mental illness, So people who have these cycles where they have great ups and downs, like bipolar disorder, where sometimes they can be okay. Sometimes, I was talking to someone, I used to live in this one building, and I had a neighbor, and I remember I'd have these conversations with her, and she was totally lucid. And then really bizarre conversations. And she was talking about famous people and stuff like that. Then I realized she was schizophrenic, because she was just having like completely different ways of being, you know what I mean? And totally out of touch with reality. And that kind of thing can fool us, because sometimes these people can be okay. Even some people with addictions. Sometimes they can say, you know what, I promise I'm not going to ever do that again. I'm really good. And they can even make a good case of it. They can get a job. They can do that. And then they go back into it. And sometimes they're self-medicating. They have bipolar. They get high. And then that's when sometimes they quit, because they feel so good. And then when they get depressed, that's when they go back into it, self-medicating. They may be good people, and that's another reason why we don't want to give up on them. But it may have taken its toll on you, this other person. And you just, maybe it's taken its toll to the point where you don't care anymore about life, because it seems like there's so much pain. And if I'm, going off on a tangent here, then maybe this message is for a select few of you, and that's okay. Sometimes that's how life works, and I hope that there are people that can receive comfort from this message, because there are better days ahead. It's just in this moment. This moment is only one moment in your life, and actually, one thing that I like to think sometimes when things get overwhelming is that whatever you see right now is actually the past. Because all of the things that you've done in the past, they have led to this moment. But if you are changing right now and you are evolving, then what is happening right now, you can definitely improve your reality. You just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, making really good choices for yourself, loving yourself by taking care of yourself in every way possible, and your future will be different from now if you don't like what now is. So hang in there. In the past, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and this is a card, it's funny because you are connected to Pentacles. Now, this is the past position. This can be the mother. So if you are somebody in a family and you have been a mother, maybe you were a stay-at-home mother at one point, because the queen sometimes is the queen of her castle. And so that can indicate that the person has been in a situation, maybe you didn't have to work. And now you feel like, let's say, you are contemplating divorce. You might think, oh, now I'm going to lose this position of being the queen of my castle. I might have to work. I might lose the kind of lifestyle that I'm living because of, having to leave a relationship. That's just one example. It can be also, for instance, a workplace situation. If you're making good money and you're afforded a certain lifestyle, but you're not happy. One thing that I will remind you is that when you're an earth sign, you have to put money in proper perspective. Money, it has a place, but it's not the end-all be-all. When you feel a sense of blahness about life, and life seems colorless, you're just going through the motions. That is no way to live. Money is certainly, it serves a function in our 3D reality, but it is a limited function. And people blow it up, they make it more than it is. Obviously, everyone has a choice to choose one thing over the other. If they want financial security, and they feel like if they go off on their own, and let's say they're in an unhappy marriage and they go off on their own, they're afraid that it's going to be too much of a shock to the system, maybe they'll choose to stay in an unhappy marriage. If it doesn't affect you adversely, then maybe it's all good. But the Four of Cups doesn't show that. It shows somebody who is affected by a situation. Right now, we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles, and this is a card of you assessing I would call it the cost-benefit ratio. I mean, this is actually a card also, I would say, too, of just assessing your situation for the effort that you've put into it. Are you receiving back? And for me, it's almost like this is a newer relationship or a newer marriage, if that's the case, because typically you wouldn't have to assess something that you've been in for many years. You would know whether or not it was good. So whether this is a job or a committed partnership, maybe that's one of the reasons why you're so confused, because it isn't that old and you feel like it should be better than it is. So this is also, I think this is actually a good idea, is that you are looking at things from, how do they serve you? Are you getting a return that is something of, a tangible return for your efforts? Because, and obviously, if we're talking about a relationship, it's not going to be necessarily something that you can hold in your hand. I mean, we're talking about emotions here. But again, the pentacles can relate to the body. So if something, if you don't feel right physically because you're stressed out over a relationship, then you know that it's, affecting you in many ways. And that's not good. So you can see very clearly, and maybe you'll give yourself a certain time limit to decide what next move to make. What is coming in is represented by the Judgment card, and this is a Major Arcana card. This can be that sense of, the chicken's coming home to roost. This card, I believe, is connected to Pluto. And this is a card of rebirth, though, too. So again, with your sun in your sign, or new moon in your sign, definitely could be something along those lines. Timing-wise, maybe that's when everything turns. That'll be September 9th, by the way. And I should have mentioned, too, some of this reading might be an aftermath, because on August 26th, there is, because I'm recording this reading before then, a full moon in Pisces, and that's your 7th house of committed partnership. So that may be why I'm getting these kind of cards if they're, relating to a marriage. That's what the 7th house is, or the equivalent of a marriage. And the outcome is the King of Wands. And I don't know if this card connects with a particular fire sign, but it definitely is fire energy. I would say Leo. So if you know a Leo, maybe this is somebody that comes into your life. But I do think that this is more of a state of being or a state of consciousness, where this is the ultimate in self-confidence. And Virgo is a sign that's kind of like the first word in my mental Tourette's that popped into my head was, what was it? was neurotic. And, I have the moon in Virgo. And I really don't mean that, though. I don't think that a lot of Virgo people are necessarily neurotic in the classic sense. But you might certainly question your competence from time to time. You might feel unsure about yourself. And this is a card of confidence, and feeling competent and feeling powerful. And definitely the energy of fire is self-sufficiency, okay? And so this is the kind of energy you need to make these important decisions, Virgo, because whether it's a workplace situation or whether it's, in your love life, to be able to say that, to be able to admit to yourself when you're not happy about something and to actually take action. Because I think, too, that the fire element is about taking action. It takes guts, and that's what this represents. So that's what I have for you. And if you'd like a personal reading, please click on the link below. Happy birthday. Take care. Bye.